Welcome to Experiments in Poetry. This is your host, Wendy. In episode 4, we'll be talking about the song A Case of You, written by Joni Mitchell. This is a lyrical reaction slash review. It's probably more of a review. Most people, when they consider reactions, it's like your first time hearing the song. However, since I have heard this song many times before, I'm just going to refer to it as a review. So, Joni Mitchell is a recording artist. She's a singer, songwriter, producer, as well as a painter. Joni Mitchell released this song on the album Blue. This album was released in 1971, and it's quite remarkable because Joni Mitchell wrote and produced the entire album. And this album has much critical acclaim. The Rolling Stones rated it and the third greatest album of all time. And it also was the highest placing album by any female artist. But as I said, it's just a show of her unequivocal talent that she herself also wrote every song lyrically and compositionally, as well as produced the album. And Joni Mitchell had me in tears probably within the first 30 seconds of the song. Now that's powerful. I mean, you can watch a television series and in the end your favorite character dies, but you've gotten like 10 hours invested into it. The lyrics of this song and her delivery is so powerful that within seconds it affected me on such a deep level. And that's just a testament to her talent. But I also just wanted to let you know that critically she is beloved as well. Just in case you haven't been following all my episodes, the reason why I'm including singer-songwriters on my channel, Experiments in Poetry, is because in the tradition of poetry, there are many different ways in which you can perform it. And in my last episode, episode 3, I covered how lyrical poetry was created. And it was created in ancient Greece by the poet Sappho. If you're interested in learning more about that, please go back and watch episode 3. But this style of poetry, because in the ancient times people did not, for the most part, read or write, this style of poetry was often sung and accompanied by a stringed instrument. And when I first saw Joni Mitchell performing this song, I saw her, dressed in this white, kind of beautiful, ancient Greek goddess type of gown. And she had this stringed instrument called an Appalachian dulcimer across her lap. And she was plucking away at those strings, and just this sound came out of her and these lyrics, and I just thought to myself, like, wow, this is living poetry in front of me. So before I begin, I want to say thank you, Joni. I feel so blessed to have witnessed your performance, even if it was only on video, to have that there, because I was not able to be there to hear Sappho's performances. But when I think of Joni and what I've seen and heard again, it just takes me back to that place. So thank you again for just your lovely artistry. So Joni said about the album Blue in Rolling Stone, I quote, "The Blue album, there's hardly a dishonest note in the vocals. At that period in my life, I had no personal defenses. I felt like a cellophane wrapper on a pack of cigarettes. I felt like I had absolutely no secrets from the world, and I couldn't pretend in my life to be strong or to be happy. But the advantage of it in the music was that there was no defenses there either." And I think that that shows in the composition of A Case of You. It's just so raw and real. Yeah, I believed it. I believed that you felt that way and you took me there with you, and I felt everything along with you as if I was your best friend. And I'm just like, oh, Joni, oh my God, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry that this has happened to you. You really feel it. And that's the power of lyrical poetry. Now, lyrical poetry, it could be in the written word. You can rap it, you can sing it, do whatever you want with it. But the power of lyrical poetry is that it's very personal in nature. It comes from the person who's performing it, is often the center of it, and is telling you their emotions and feelings from a first person point of view. Now, with that said, once I get into A Case of You, it's my interpretation of the lyrics, and I don't know much about her personal life. When I'm reading through her lyrics and saying what I think it means, it by no means is that is what Joni herself went through. It's just my interpretation of the meaning of her lyrics. And so from here on out, I'll say she was feeling this and this is what was happening to her. But by that, I just simply mean through the lyrics, not necessarily that this is a life event that actually happened to her, but just that, as she said in the interview in Rolling Stone, you know, that she was bearing her feelings all out there for everyone to see. Whether or not the events in my interpretation are something that actually happened, I do not know. And I'm not going to tie any particular ex-boyfriend or anything to it. I'm not going to be gossipy about it. It's just what I interpret the lyrics to be. So here we go. In the first verse, she says, "Just before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as a northern star. And I said, constantly in the darkness, where's that at? If you want me, I'll be in the bar." The relationship she is singing about is already over, and that he promised her that basically he would always be there for her. And that's as I am as constant as the northern star. That's a line from Shakespeare, and it's basically referring to, yeah, the northern star. The sailors used that to find their way when they were at sea. And she said, well, I'm constant in the darkness. Where's that at? And so she can't find it. She can't see the love that he claims that he has for her. And she is lost, or they are lost, or their relationship is lost. However, I feel like this is a true love song and not just a song about lust or longing or infatuation, because I feel like if you're mentioning the northern star, it's something that's ever present in the skies that the sailors use. And so even if maybe you can't find it right now because it's cloudy, or it's daytime, but it's always present. It's always there. It's always with you. And when you need it, just be patient and you look up and it'll be there. And then she ends the verse with, if you want me, I'll be in the bar. So you could see she's not too worried about it. She knows that it's constant and that it's always there. And just, when you need me, I'll be here. Or like, okay, whatever, whatever you say, love, and then just goes on her way. It's kind of could be in a flippant way. Second verse is, on the back of a cartoon coaster in the blue TV screen light, I drew a map of Canada, oh Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. So this just brings so much personality to it. You can almost see her thinking of her ex. And she is a performer, she is a singer, and she is from Canada. When she sings the line, oh Canada, she's hearkening to the national anthem of Canada. So when I hear this voice, I imagine she's on the road, she's traveling, she hasn't been home, and her ex is in Canada. And she is somewhere far away, and I imagine her just in a dark room with just the TV on and just on a spare whatever she can find, because her primary passion is painting. She is sketching, Canada, and sketching her lover's face on it as she's just thinking about him. So in the chorus, it's, oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I can drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. So at this point, if you're listening to her delivery of it, you're probably crying. It's so deep and so moving. During the sacrament, you go up and you consume a piece of bread that has been consecrated, which represents the body of Christ. And you take a sip at wine, which represents either Christ's blood or the blood of his followers, which have been shed in his memory. And by doing this, you're supposed to invoke the presence of God. So she is basically saying, you are in my blood like holy wine. So it's some sort of by some divine means, he's just is one with her. Like she took the sacrament and he is one with her. Even though they're apart, she still feels the oneness. She says, you taste so bitter and so sweet. Well, we know that the relationship is ended. So it could be bitter, but the memory is sweet, or it could just be like in his own personality. There are moments about him, memories that she can recall that are very, very sweet. And then there are other moments in other times where the relationship is very hard, or there's components of his personality that are kind of hard to swallow, to go with the theme of drinking. Then she said, I can drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. I would still be on my feet. So, this is one of the best ways that I've ever heard of someone saying, like, I just cannot get enough of you. And it's also interesting because it's the whole metaphor to drinking and love. And could you be drunk on love? Or can drinking be toxic for you? If you drink too much of it, is it bad for you? And she's basically saying, no, there's just not enough of you. Like, I want you, it's not toxic for me. And, I want you all day, all night, always to be with you. And I could never get enough. That's why she's saying she could still be on her feet. And so even with those bitter parts of the relationship, she feels that she can she can't still have enough of it. She can still not have enough of it. It's the good with the bad. She goes on and says, "Oh, I'm a lonely painter. I live in a box of paints. I'm frightened by the devil, and I'm drawn to the ones that ain't afraid." So you get the sense here, or possibly why there's a drinking theme. I feel like because she mentioned bar and the main course is centered around wine and drinking a case and, intoxication is still beyond my feet, that the devil that she might be speaking of is addictions. And maybe perhaps, that could not be to alcohol and she's just using that. Maybe that's to be to another type of drug or perhaps another type of addiction, such as gambling or sex. But she's basically saying, I'm frightened of that. I don't do that. I'm not addicted or whatever, but I'm drawn to those who are. And of course, she's talking about being a painter and living in a box of paints. And as I said earlier, her primary passion as an artist is painting. So for the fourth verse, I remember that you told me, you said, love is touching souls. Surely you touched mine, 'cause part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time. Part of you pours out of me, again, keeping with the liquid, the drinking kind of theme, and with it being the main course, drinking a case of you, holy wine. So, your love has touched mine, and then divinely, it turns me, part of me, into you. We're one, and it just, you can see it in what I produce, in my writings, in my art, in my paintings from time to time. And so she repeats the chorus, "Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and still I'd be on my feet. I would still be on my feet." So for the final verse, she says, "I met a woman. She had a mouth like yours. She knew your life. She knew your devils and your deeds. And she said, go to him, stay with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed." So in this verse, I believe she meets a family member of her ex, and because she's saying a mouth like yours, and that, she knew your life and she knew basically all about you. And again, to go with the reinforcing the theme of addiction and troubles, she says she knows of your devils, and she said, go to him, stay with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed. And so, yeah, I feel like, they're talking, and her ex is not in a good place with his addictions, and they're talking about it, and, she's encouraging to go, yeah, go be with him if you want, but it's going to pain you to see him in this state and to see him like this. And again, holy wine represents the blood of Christ, and the last line of the verse is, be prepared to bleed. And just feel her pain. I mean, anybody who's ever lost love, and then not only to lose love, but you lose love because of the person that you're in love with is so deeply troubled, and then you have to watch them go through this pain and suffering. And so you really, really feel for her. And she ends it with, "Oh, but you're in my blood. You're my holy wine. You're so bitter, bitter and so sweet." And then the final lines are, "Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling. Still, I'd be on my feet. I would still be on my feet." So from going into um, the verse where she's talking with her family member saying to go see him, I imagine that in this last segment here that she did, and maybe he is in a bad state and she's kind of pleading with him, but you are in my blood. You're my holy wine. You know, you're so bitter, bitter and so sweet. Again, the good with the bad. She doesn't care. He's part of her. They're one. And she's in this no matter what kind of troubles he has. Um, and, ending it with that um, drink a case of you lines, which is, again, no matter how bad the bad is, to her, she's in love and it's worth it. And she'll be there and she'll be on her feet, and probably meaning that she'll be strong for him and the troubles that he's going for. I said earlier, I give this a 10. Not that every song that I review I'll be doing a 1 out of 10 for. Obviously, I'm going to be picking songs that I like, but honestly, she's keeping with that theme of holy wine and drinking, and throughout the whole entire thing, it's consistent. She says she's a painter, but I feel like, she's a weaver. She's a weaver of that story. It's perfect. Like I said, it's consistent throughout the whole entire piece. Every word that she chose is representative of these themes, and it just reinforces and reinforces and reinforces. Like I said, like a weaver, she is just making that fabric of the story, and it's really whole and complete and very touching, and I think a true sentiment of love and loss, and also loving somebody who, is flawed. If you would like to If you would like to continue hearing my reviews of lyrics, poetry, and some original poems, please subscribe to this channel. If you like this review, please click the like button. Always, if you have any original poetry or lyrics that you would like possibly to be shown on this channel, you can write to me at wendy@experimentsinpoetry.com. Also, please let me know in the comments below if there are any other lyrics or poems that you are interested in learning more about. Thanks for listening.